This year theme for the World Environment Day is to beat the plastic. And so many organizations working on the process of elimination of plastic from our day-to-day life. And in the meantime, being an official to the United Nations, I have the utmost responsibility to communicate with the society, students, and people, those who are working on eradicating plastic from our ecosystem. The Environment Day was over, but the responsibility is continuing to be part and parcel of our life. In the meantime, when Mr. Moharana Chaudhary was thoughtful of working on our framework to make Kamakhya Temple in Assam, Guwahati, plastic free, and for making the premises of Kamakhya Temple plastic free was challenging one, because thousands of devotees visit every day there. And previously, what we were witnessing there, that the devotees are coming from different parts of the country and in their respective state. The state hasn't brought legislation to ban or restrict the use of, in particular, to single-use plastics. And even the United Nations Environment Programme statistics says that the total use of plastic, what we are using in day-to-day life, is almost saved by 50% single-use plastic, and that is lethal and dangerous. So we need to reduce the single-use plastic by changing our day-to-day habit and imposing strict laws to prevent the manufacturing, trade, and consumption of single-use plastic. So now come to the plan, very significant plan to eradicate plastic from the temple. Particularly, 2 temples have been opted by the Voice of Environment. One was the Kamakhya Temple, another was Basistha Temple, and in which I have been discharging my responsibility as an advisory, because physically I wasn't there to contribute. So I told the Voice of Environment team to contribute on policy, the imposition, how you will move forward. So first, I personally advise to the whole team to sign a memorandum of understanding with the temple authority. And respected Daloi himself has shown tremendous amounts of interest in the whole concept of plastic movement, anti-plastic movement, and the MOU was signed with the Kamakhya Temple as well as with the Basistha Temple. So the journey has started, and with a separate pledge letter for the devotees, for the press, and for those who are having shops there in the premise area in the temple, vendors. So we had issued different We have handed over pledge letters separately to the press, the vendors, and the devotees. And as we were well aware of the fact that the Kamakhya temple has almost thousands of visitors daily, and in the peak season when Ambubasi, Dasahara, and separate uh, festive seasons, this intensity of crowds, intensity of visitors, devotees, started increasing. So we have the need if we needed more and more amount of volunteers. Thankfully, volunteers have shown their interest and they have started this campaign to obey the people. And the law was showing a tremendous amount of interest. So they have issued some notifications to the vendors not to store or not to give plastic to the visitors or devotees. So it was complete ban over the trade of plastic in within the premise, and even we have started a separate request to the devotees visiting from different parts of the India. So it was challenging there, and we started framing the documentation and databases of the plastics on day-to-day basis, monthly basis, and now it's been over 6 months or 7-8 months. We have been witnessing a continuous decline in the use of plastics and widespread dispersed plastic waste within the premise of the temple, particularly in Kamakhya temple. Later on, the municipal commissioner and some companies, known companies, renowned companies, have started showing interest through the CSR, the corporate social responsibility, to work on a plastic-free premises of the Kamakhya temple. So this was one of the challenging journey, and still when going on. It's a long-term project to bring and apply the awareness in the masses. But at the same time, the Basistha temple was significantly less known to the people, but it's been a heritage site for the State of Tourism Department of Assam, and because this site is known for Guru Basistha, and one of very holiest river is flowing from this side, this spot, the Ganga. And what we are witnessing out here is a totally rampant kind of situation. Devotees are visiting quite less than the Lord Kamakhya temple, but the tendency and the mentality of the devotees are similar. And even the press have not been known to bring some part of looks or the impact of the use of the plastics on the biodiversity in particular. There are a huge amount of a huge number of monkeys residing out there in the temple of Basistha, and they are equally affected by this plastics dispersed in the ecosystem. So we have taken it seriously, signed the Memorandum of Understanding MOU with the Doloi of the Basistha Temple and started our campaign. Significantly, we have been doing it on day-to-day basis, but on the weekly basis we have intense cleanup drive out there, as well as awareness drive out there, significantly linking with the municipal corporations to carry away the plastic waste to the respective recycling stations. And now we are looking at different sites. One site, it could be developed into a precious tourism destination, and the second part of it is to make it a zero waste zone, zero plastic zone. So pledging the devotees, pledging the similar pattern what we have adopted out there in Kamakhya Temple. But the situation was totally different. We have to energize and we have to bring similar amount of excitement and awareness first before the press. Why we are working on this anti-plastic campaign? Why is it significant out there, and why is it from the temple? So in the meantime, they have requested that if you guys are working on the plastic, first resolve our issues. And the first major issue was they have a very difficult time. They are not getting sufficient and uniform amount of potable drinking water, and they are contaminated. So the Voice of Environment team is started requesting the government. They have filed a complaint in the different department before the Chief Secretary, before the PhD, and even a letter was given to Chief Minister, and the work is under process to install removal unit out there to provide safe drinking water to the temple priests, devotees, and those vendors working in that area. So what we need is to both the temples are on significant fragile ecosystem, situated in and around the significant fragile ecosystem. Kamakhya Temple is there on the Neelanchal range, which is diverse, fragile, and significantly unknown to the people. As a part of concern to the flora and fauna residing in this part of habitation. And this plastic, the single-use plastic, is threat to all of them. So the entire function, the entire operation of the Voice of Environment was significantly welcomed, even from the political arena, even from the temple authority, and the civic corporation is still not much in abundance. It's very low, but we are needful of the civic corporations. Hope after this video people will come to join the Voice of Environment campaign to make these two temples in particular, if we are successful to make these two temples plastic free, we would work on other temples as well, but we are needful for the public cooperation, and we are pledging from the bottom of our heart that please come and join with our campaign. Give me your physical, mental, economic and psychological support. Your support is a catalyst for all of us. Thank you, and pledging you to change your habit at least. Don't use the single-use plastic. Always carry a cotton, woolen, an alternative bag to buy your day-to-day commodities. Thank you, and it's incredible Assam, and it's an incredible India.